Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to discuss about the various timeline or time events of Cold War period. So let's begin the Cold War timeline. After World War II, we all know that the Cold War is began with its various stain. But here we'll get the exact points of the timeline of Cold War. So in 1947, American President Harry Truman's doctrine about the containment of communism. The American president they are taking some kind of decisions or like some kind of political messages or political newses about the communism against the communism in that period. In 1947 to 52, Marshall Plan, US aid for the reconstruction on the Western Europe. We all know that the Marshall Plan is begun for to recover the world economy, mainly in European states, Western European state. The Marshall Plan, aided by the US, they are basically giving some kind of economic helps or any aided funds for the losses of the loss they have they had faced in mm, World War II. After that, 1948 to 49, Berlin blockade by the Soviet Union and the airlift of supplies to the citizens of Western Berlin by the US and its allies. So in that 1948-49, the Great Berlin Wall is reconstructed, constructed in that period, and the Western Berlin is influenced or like controlled by the uh, communist or not communist exactly capitalist one USA. So they're getting aided by the US, and Eastern Berlin was taken by Soviet, and they want to convert the whole region in a communist or socialist one. In 1950 to 53, the Korean War. We'll discuss about details about the Korean War in next videos. And in 1950 to 53, the North Korean and the South Korean War was begun, and till now the Korean War is not getting any conclusion or like any resulted point. So till now the Korean War is like we can say is continuing. In after that 1954, defeat of the French by the Vietnams at Dien Bien Phu, signing of the Geneva Accords, division of Vietnam along the 17th parallel, formation of SEATO. So we already discussed about the Vietnam War. In that period, Vietnam War also began in there. So the French people was throw defeated by an throwback from the Vietnam, and the communist leader getting raised in the South Vietnam and North Vietnam also. In 1957 to 55, 4 to 75, American intervention in Vietnam. So we already discussed about the here that the American going to the Vietnam for helping the capitalist southern one. In 1955, signing of the Baghdad Pact after Sento. To in here the Afghan were also here in this context. After that, 1956, Soviet intervention in Hungary. Soviet intervention in Hungary. We'll discuss about the details about the Hungary intervention of Soviet. 1961, U.S. Sponsored Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba, construction of the Berlin Wall. So in 61, the major event is like invasion in Cuba or like Berlin Wall, this kind of thing. And after 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis is already we have discussed about it. It was a major event of Cold War. And after that, in 1965, American intervention in the Dominican Republic. In Dominican Republic, the America intervent their political and economic processes. In 1968, Soviet intervention in Czechoslovakia. Soviet also, like in that period, the American invaded the communist one, and the Soviet invent the capitalist one too. Once they want their expand their ideology and political views and economic activities. That's how they are intervene the nearer or like they are trying to help their ideologist people in different countries. That's how they are working in Cold War. In 1972, the U.S. President Richard Nixon's visit to China. They also like China is like playing its own game in that Cold War period. They are sometimes show that they are with the Soviet Union, and sometimes they are change their mind and so showing that they are with the US. So in a ideologies basis, they are called themselves called that they are communists. But in secretly, they are also getting their progress with the US. In 1978 to 89, Vietnamese intervention in Cambodia. The Vietnamese also invade in Cambodia. In 1979 to 89, Soviet intervention in Afghanistan. The Soviet invade the Afghan, and after that the US also in like raising in their military or like terrorism activities in Afghan in that period. In 1985, Gorbachev becomes the president of the USSR, begin of the reform process. In 1985, the new president of USSR, Gorbachev, take that presidency, like president as a president. The Gorbachev taking the like a political stand in there, and he like decide to reform the structure of the USSR because before that the USSR getting various like corruption or like control dictatorship like events in past various under various presidents. After that, in 1989, fall of Berlin Wall. We all know the Berlin Wall fall in that 1989. Mass protest against government in Eastern Europe. That we all know that Eastern Europe is controlled by the Soviet Union. That's the capitalist ideology getting spread in that Eastern Europe, and they began to protest, mass protest against that communist dictatorship. 1990 unification of Germany. Germany unified after Berlin Wall fall, and the whole Germany again become getting unified in 1990. And 1991, 1991, this this integration of the Soviet Union and the Cold War. Like in 1991, this USSR also getting end, and they did like dismiss all their agreement with that parties or like the countries. They like they what it called decentralize the like power or whatever the decision making or economic activities from the USSR. That's uh, the like